Hello and welcome to my 100th episode of RetroKork. Hang on a second, we need some decorations to celebrate this event. There, that should do it. Anyway, today I'm talking about a DOS game again, because I couldn't get enough of DOS games, and seeing how I feel I start to run out of Commodore 64 games, I think maybe getting a bit into DOS games is a good idea. And I also like, as if you didn't know it already, I like spacecraft and space flight, so what better way to combine those two than with Buzz Aldrin's Race into Space. You know, I lately talked a lot about space. The last two episodes were very space focused after all. And I'm considering myself to be a fan of space exploration. I'd also love to go into space, but I'm not an astronaut and I'm not made of astronaut material if we're being serious here. So instead I play simulation games, like for example Buzz Aldrin's Race into Space. Buzz Aldrin's Race into Space, or short BARIS, B-A-R-I-S, is based upon Fritz Bronner's board game Liftoff, which unfortunately is out of print as we speak. In the board game version, you play one of up to 4 parties, space agencies, that tries to get the first man or woman onto the moon. But Bronner envisioned this game also to be a computer version, a computer game, and since the rights to the computer game version are still with him, were still with him at the time, he founded a small company named Strategic Visions, consisting only of him and a programmer named Michael McCarthy. Now, the original plan for the game was to put it on the Amiga, and we all know how much I talk about Amigas. I don't. But instead, they put it on the PC, and that's where I heard first on it, from it, and where I first played it on. The game was distributed by Interplay, but the rights to the game reverted to both Bronner and McCarthy when Interplay unfortunately folded and the game was completely out of print. And they released it as freeware, and the source code is released under the GPL license. And unfortunately the rights to Mr. Aldrin's name have expired, so the new re-release, so to speak, can only be called Race into Space. This is a Windows port. It also runs, I believe, on other systems as well. And for simplicity's sake, I'm going to run RIS in this video instead of Buzz Aldrin's Race into Space, but that's only for simplicity's sake. And some things have changed, seeing it as the freeware remake is most likely the version you're going to play. So you set up your game, you pick a roster, whether it's supposed to be the historical one or one that is basic or a bit more modified. Yes, you can modify the roster. And then there's the difficulty setting. Now for the human it's rather simple to understand. 1 is the easiest, 2 is medium, 3 is the most difficult. I understand that. Now when the AI is involved, it gets a little bit confusing, because is 3 now the smartest AI running with the easiest setting for itself, or is it going through the same struggles as I am if I were playing on difficulty 3? Because that's the part that I still haven't figured out, and It's often the reason why I lose, plus the fact that I think the AI cheats by newscast, first in black and white and later on it'll be in living color. You're introduced each round, then you go to either Cape Canaveral or Baikonur, where you can go and buy rocket parts and then go and research them to improve their quality, their safety. You can plan missions at either spaceport if you have the parts needed for it, and well, you can recruit astronauts. Though to recruit astronauts through the administration, you first have to take a listing in Craigslist. I mean, you have to scout for them, and then you need to train your astronauts and keep them happy, which you primarily do by putting them on a mission, because sitting around on their buttocks is not going to improve morale. Each year in the space race is, by the way, divided into 4 quarters, and there are milestones that you should go for, as they give you prestige and make it a little easier for you in further missions. Plus, prestige translates technically in a way to more money, and you get to stay longer in control. Now, for me personally, the launch is where it's at. The rocket launch. Because it's beautifully rendered using models and footage from different launches of rockets, displayed in an unfortunately static image of mission control. Now, the computer runs for every step along the way. Technically it rolls the D100, and if it rolls over the safety value, namely the value of safety, the parts that are involved in this step, you have a malfunction. Now, depending on when something malfunctions and how bad the malfunction is, you may be lucky and go on unhindered. You may have to experience that part of the mission just can't be done because, say for example, they notice, hey, our EVA suit isn't secure. Happens. And that's pretty much one of the points where you have a non-fatal deviation from the original plan. And in the worst case, your spaceship explodes. And malfunctions, especially big and fatal ones, they cost you prestige, of course. Now, Racing to Space can be played via email as a play-by-mail kind of game, or locally using the hot seat. The game itself can be found on racingtospace.org, or the old version's probably floating around on your favorite abandonware site. I personally find both Barras and RIS to be very intriguing. Now, if someone could get me out of this suit, I'd really appreciate it. Okay, that was episode 100. Now let's go to the ring next time, to the wrestling ring, because next time I'm going to talk about wrestling games for the Commodore 64.